Welcome, everyone in the United States, Canada, and around the world to another powerful episode of It's a Wrap with Rap, the podcast that shares real stories of hope, resilience, and purpose, and a discussion of relevant topics. I'm your host, Ron Rapaport. Today, we are very fortunate to have Adam Ferguson with us. Adam is a thoughtful and engaging author and parent who explores modern parenting responsibility, and the impact of technology on family dynamics. Now, drawing from real life observations, conversations, and practical wisdom, Adam writes with honesty, humor, and clarity about the challenges parents face in raising children in a digital first world. His book, The Things You Have to Do Before I Buy You a Phone, addresses one of today's most pressing parenting questions: when and how children should be introduced to smartphones. Rather than focusing solely on restrictions, Adam emphasizes preparation, accountability, emotional maturity, and trust. His work resonates with parents, educators, and caregivers seeking balanced guidance that prioritizes character development over convenience. Welcome, Adam, to the podcast.
Thank you, Ron. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great. Yeah, this is a great topic. I read the book. It's a great book. And this book is for anyone, even grandparents. I mean, give it to your children if you see your grandchildren mesmerized by these smartphones all over the place. So before we get into the conversation about phones, Adam, could you please just introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm a dad. I've got three kids. One's about to go off to college. The other one's a junior in high school, and my daughter's in middle school. Um, all good kids. I like them a lot. I like how they've grown up, but I've had a front row seat to the collision of childhood and technology
Right.
because my oldest was born 2 months after the first iPhone came out. So, as a
Okay.
parent, any parent who's been through this, we are experiencing a lot of new challenges that we did not grow up with,
Right.
and I think a lot of us are seeing some side effects that we're not too happy about. So, as a dad of three kids, watching them go through this, watching their friends go through this, I just made a decision to try to come up with a fix, and that's what this book is all about.
Yeah, and it's a great book. So, uh, I read the book. It's a must read for today's parents raising children in this digital age of ours. Was there a personal moment or experience that sparked the idea for the book?
Yeah, well, I mean, Ron, you just kind of said it in the beginning, we see these kids with their heads bent over for hours, staring down and not engaging with the world. And I think any parent, who's around young people today, or any adult who's around young people today, any grandparent, sort of feels bad for them, not just because of the posture that's occurring, but
Yeah,
because of the things they're missing out on.
right.
When we think back to our own childhoods, um, where if we got bored, we had to figure things out and go into the world and maybe get in trouble and maybe get scraped up a little bit, but we learned through trial and error and success and that wildness, I think, is being replaced by something that's a little more plastic and and maybe these kids are gonna get through adolescence and into young adulthood and have to face the world and feel a little less equipped than we were. So to your question, I think with my daughter especially, because the idea kind of occurred late to me about this book, walking into a sleepover and seeing 10 girls sitting next to each other, all on their individual screens, some on tablets, some on, Nintendo Switches, and not talking, just kind of locked into their void. And yeah, it made me a little sad. And I think for a lot of us, it makes us, generations who grew up without the internet, it makes us a little sad.
Do you think, just came to my mind. Do you think, like you said, when we were younger, you imagined a lot of things? Do you think this stifles kids' imaginations? Because I can remember as a kid, I would, just look around, want to do stuff that I really liked or thought was cool. I just think there was an imagination going on. Did you notice that's missing? If you are enjoying listening to or viewing the podcast, we would appreciate you spreading the word by sharing the podcast to your family and friends. Please visit the podcast website, itsarapwithrap.com, where you can find all the episodes, previews of future episodes, the podcast Book Nook, showcasing many of the books our guests have authored, and a link to subscribe to the podcast email list, as well as products and services offered by our sponsors. To some extent.
I, I think human beings love convenience. I think, whether you're 3 years old or 30, or when you can find the easiest way to do something, you're going to go after it. And with entertainment and imagination, a lot of these phones, whether it's games or social media or streamers, um, they do the imagination for you. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
they really smart people have thought up really great ways to capture your attention. And if the kid can farm that out and be entertained versus having to entertain themselves, they're going to do that.
And what do you think is going to be the result of the ensuing upsurge in AI?
Oh, even worse. I mean, customized to your tastes in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It'll get even better, more mesmerizing.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so why do you believe smartphones have become such a critical parenting issue today?
Mm. Well, I think the convenience goes both ways, right? It's there's a period in young parents' lives around that when their kids are about 2 years old to about 6 years old. They call it the terrible twos and
Yeah,
whatever, the something threes. Those are the ages when kids are really hard to manage. They really require you to get, emotionally and physically attentive. And a lot of times what I've seen is tablets get handed to the kid, either in a stroller, at a restaurant table, in an airplane. It's a great way to quiet them down. It's a babysitter in a way because the
yeah,
kid's gonna stop asking for attention, stop asking for mom and dad, and just kind of lock into that. So I think for parents, it becomes an easy thing too. It's another moment of convenience, right? I don't want to deal with the hard part. So let's farm out the parenting and the caretaking.
yeah,
And that's, trust me, I don't judge it because that is, you've already kind of hooked the kid on the technology. They get older, it doesn't go away, it gets more entrenched. And so when the kid becomes, somebody that's easier to hang out with when they're 13, 14, and you're wondering why are they so dialed into the phone and the tablet and the computer and the gaming system, we play a part in that.
yeah. Now, what are the biggest mistakes do you think parents make when introducing the phones to their children? And at what age do you believe children are emotionally ready for the phone and why?
There's a lot of debate on this one, Ron. Um, I think the jump goes from tablet and TV to smartboard in the school classrooms now. There's a lot of technology in school. And then around sixth grade is when I've seen kids start asking for phones in earnest. And that's because it's middle school, the social network lights up, the getting away from the house, and they don't want to be left out. The
Right.
phone becomes this way to like network and stay connected. And what happens is family by family, the parents buckle because they don't want their kid to be left out, you know.
Yeah.
So they accept the problem because of the convenience. Um, and there are some groups that say wait until eighth, meaning wait until eighth grade, that they think that's the maturity curve. Um, countries like Australia who have outlawed social media for anybody under 16. They're saying it's a little later. Um, I would say probably eighth grade or freshman year of high school, emotionally is when a kid, if you can keep them from technology as long as possible, that 14-year-old area is great. And then, that's actually number 50 in the book is kind of a dad joke, but it's, the 50th task before you get the phone is to turn 14.
Okay. Now, how do you assess maturity instead of relying on age alone? Like the role of communication, discussion about social media, like you said, peer pressure. How do you assess it?
Every kid's different. They're all gonna, mature at their own separate pace. I think
Right.
it's up to the parent to make the call. They got to figure it out for themselves. All
Any,
my kids,
is there anything they can be looking for?
um, oh, that's a great question. You know, I think so. The tasks in this book,
And we're going to get to those. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
yeah, I think a lot of them are markers of maturity. You know, I think one of the hardest parts about kids and tech addiction is um, the reliance on it to deal with stillness and boredom, to fill, the quiet, the reliance on it to create communication and kind of self-validation through, whether it's likes or somebody responding to you. Um, and I think what I would look for in the kid is a sense of self-reliance so
Yeah,
that
very good.
they don't really have to rely on the tech. It's already inside them first.
Good point. Okay, so what inspired you? You created a checklist of experiences kids should complete before getting a phone. What inspired you to create that checklist?
Well, honestly, like going back to that scene with my daughter and her friends with their heads tilted down, my first thought was like, or what if the power goes out?
Yeah. They
Like,
might have to talk to each other.
well, I mean, so think about all the things the phone does for you, right? We use it for GPS navigation to get around the world. We use it for, gosh, for light. It's got a flashlight on it. We use it to take pictures and make memories. We use it to, my kids are fond of using it for DoorDash, which I've outlawed in my house. But the idea that
That's
they
a
can
smart
open the
move.
phone, pick out any food that they want, press some buttons, and it'll show up at the house. Um, if the power goes out and you're used to doing that all the time,
Yeah.
uh, you don't know how to cook. You don't know how to open a refrigerator and pick three ingredients out and make something good to eat. That's a talent everyone kind of needs to understand. And there are a lot, you need to be able to get around the world and navigate it yourself and figure out north, south, east, and west. Um, so I would say like concern for their ability to, function.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I know an older lady. She's in the 80s, and she has really refused for the longest time to get a smartphone. She had a flip phone. And the other day I was talking to her, and lo and behold, she's got a smartphone. And I said, "You got a smartphone?" She goes, "I have no choice." She said, They they make you get a smartphone. The way things are now, just to buy things and rolling things, stuff like that. So yeah, it's everywhere. Sure.
So yeah, so here's an interesting story. My wife and I went out for dinner a couple weeks ago, and we parked the car, and the only way to pay for the parking spot was to take a picture of a QR code and pay and download an app and pay through the app. And my first thought was like, what if you don't have a phone? like you can't park anymore. She's right. There's a number of things, a number of conveniences happening in our infrastructure that require you to have this thing on you at all times.
Have you ever looked around your life and thought, is this all there is? Have you ever dreamed of starting fresh, exploring the world, or reinventing yourself, but then stopped because you thought you were too old to begin again? If so, this message is for you. Barbara Grassie's inspiring book, American Expat Moving Abroad After 60, is a powerful guide for anyone who believes adventure, growth, and purpose don't end at retirement, they begin there. In this honest and encouraging book, Barbara shares real life experiences, practical guidance, and hard earned wisdom for Americans who are considering a bold move overseas later in life. This isn't a fantasy filled travel memoir, it's a realistic, hopeful roadmap for turning someday into now. Barbara understands the fears that come with such a big decision. Questions like, where should I live? Can I afford it? What about health care? What if I feel lonely or overwhelmed? And what will my family think? American Expat, moving abroad after 60, doesn't shy away from these concerns. Instead, it tackles them head on with clarity, compassion, and encouragement. Barbara explains the emotional side of leaving behind familiarity while also offering practical insights on finances, housing, healthcare, and adapting to a new culture. This book is for retirees, near retirees, and anyone in their 60s and beyond who feels called to something more. It's for people who know they still have stories to write, places to see, and purpose to pursue. What makes this book especially powerful is its message of empowerment. Barbara reminds readers that age is not a limitation, it's an asset. Life experience, resilience, and wisdom make it possible to navigate change with confidence and grace. You'll discover how moving abroad can bring a renewed sense of freedom, lower living costs in many countries, new friendships and community, cultural enrichment and adventure, and a deeper connection to yourself. Most importantly, this book gives you permission to dream again and the tools to act on those dreams. So if you've ever imagined sipping coffee in a foreign cafe, walking historic streets, or waking up each day knowing you chose courage over comfort, American Expat Moving Abroad After 60 is your invitation to begin. It's never too late to start a new chapter. It's never too late to follow a calling, and it's never too late to choose a life that excites you. Your next adventure may be waiting just beyond your comfort zone. Discover American Expat Moving Abroad After 60 by Barbara Grassi, available now in paper book and Kindle format from Amazon and major book retailers. What boundaries do you believe are non-negotiable for kids with phones?
Uh, so there's a couple of boundaries that I think are really good. Once the kid is self-reliant or mature enough to handle the phone itself, um, you can't sleep with it. You can't have it in your room at night. I think that's just because it's too easy to wake up at 1 in the morning, reach for it, and then all of a sudden you're up for 2 hours because it keeps you up. The light keeps you up, the activity keeps you up, and kids need good sleep. So leave the phone out of the room. The second thing I would say is no phones in shotgun or in the car. If I'm driving you somewhere, I'd like to talk to you. We can listen to music, you can look out the window, but I don't want to feel like an Uber driver and you're just like, dipping into your entertainment while I'm driving.
Yeah.
No phones at the dinner table, absolutely. For my family, the dinner table is a sacred uh hour of the day. And it's a chance for us to reconnect with each other, see what's going on in your life, talk about the big stuff, the little stuff, and there should not be phones at that table. Um, so I just think, there's a time and a place
Those are good
for it.
boundaries. Those are very good
Yeah.
boundaries. And I can attest to not having it when you go to bed because it's so easy just to pick up that phone and you can look at those, well, for lack of a better word, TikTok or whatever those clips,
Yeah.
those reels they have. And it before you know it, you're looking at it for an hour.
Yeah.
You've
Right.
wasted an
Exactly.
hour of your time just looking at nothing.
Yeah. And if you've ever, I don't know if you've ever had the occasion to be at a restaurant and look over and see a family at a table and everyone's looking at the phone at the same time. It's one of the saddest things.
I know. I agree. I see that all the time, and I always make comment. Just board an airplane, and I would bet 95% of the people either have a phone in their hand or are looking at their phone.
Right. Right.
I
Exactly.
mean, it's just the way it is. Now, how can parents model healthy phone behavior themselves?
Um, just being conscious, of why you picked it up. I mean, I think a lot of us, it becomes a default. We get a minute, we pull it out, we check the email, check the text, check the DMs, try to see if anybody reached out to us, and it's like, you're showing your kid that you can't handle stillness. That productivity is the only measurement, and I think you just got to be conscious of how you use it and why. And I heard a stat the other day. I have my oldest is about to go to college. 95% of the time that you spend with your child is before they were 18 years old.
Yeah,
You know, you might live another 50, 60 years with them in your life, but that's only 5% of the time you'll ever spend with them.
yeah,
So
interesting.
recognize that, and make the most of your time with your kid.
And it just came to mind. You see all these gambling commercials,
Oh yeah, that's a new thing.
and I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were telling me, "Hey, look at this! I've been going on the internet with my phone betting on games, and I won. Look, I won this and I won that, and I'm going, oh my God, this is even worse. This is
Right.
getting people into gambling now.
Well, and not even sports. I think you can bet on like culture. You can bet on politics. You can bet on
Yeah,
weird. It's
if the
funny.
sun, what time the sun's going to come up, who
Right.
knows? It's crazy. How does your book encourage responsibility rather than punishment?
So the way that the book works is there are 50 tasks that the kid has to accomplish before they can get the phone. And the tasks are a mix of like, practical stuff, which teaches responsibility. I mean, one of them is do the laundry for a week. Another one is cook dinner for the family. Um, learn how to use knives and fire. Uh, see the and get the satisfaction of serving people you love a meal. Um, Another practical one would be, do the grocery shopping for a week. It's interesting sending a 12-year-old into the grocery store to go find all that stuff.
Yeah,
But it's a great, they've got to figure it out themselves. It's a great navigation. And then there's beyond the practical stuff, there's like more advanced stuff, like learn how to build a fire, spend a night in the woods, that experience together, and it's going to be hopefully a memory for both of us. So that's one of the reasons I love the book so much is it's not just 50 things that make the kid a little stronger. It's 50 bonding experiences between parent and child, um, which are not phone based. They're not tech based. They're
yeah.
real life.
Now, how can your book help parents avoid struggle? Parents, caregivers, and anyone raising kids in a digital world, this message is for you. Before the smartphone, before the apps, before the endless scrolling, there's a conversation that must happen. And that conversation is at the heart of Adam Ferguson's powerful and practical book, The Things You Have to Do Before I Buy You a Phone. In today's world, giving a child a phone isn't just about convenience. It's about responsibility, maturity, and preparation. Adam speaks directly to parents who want to raise confident, grounded kids without fear, guilt, or confusion. This book is not anti technology, it's pro intentional parenting. Through real life examples, clear expectations, and thoughtful guidance, Adam lays out the essential steps every child should take before receiving their first phone. From building trust and accountability to understanding online behavior, boundaries, and consequences, this book helps families get on the same page before the screen ever turns on. What makes the things you have to do before I buy you a phone so impactful is its tone, honest, practical, and deeply respectful of both parents and kids. Adam doesn't preach, he equips. He empowers parents to lead with clarity and kids to understand that a phone is a privilege, not a right. This is the kind of book that sparks meaningful conversations at the dinner table, sets healthy expectations early, and helps families avoid the conflicts that often come with technology. If you've ever wondered, how do I know my child is ready for a phone? This book gives you that roadmap. Parents, educators, and mentors, this is a must read for navigating childhood and adolescence in a digital age. Pick up your copy of The Things You Have to Do Before I Buy You a Phone by Adam Ferguson and start building responsibility before the device ever enters your child's hands. The book is available from Amazon and wherever books are sold in hardcover and Kindle formats. Close with their children.
Well, I think kids love a challenge. You give a kid a test and they want to know the rules and the boundaries of it. And then once they get it, they are generally pretty game to try something. So when I've handed this book to kids, the first thing I always see them do is they open it up to the table of contents and they start crossing things off. They're like, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. Um, and and I think, you know, what was the question again? Was it about responsibility or struggles or?
Yeah, how can it prevent struggles between the parents and the kids?
I mean, I think it is I mean, they are small struggles, right? All 50 of these things, everything's a test and a challenge.
Yeah.
But but there's, there's good stress in your life and there's bad stress in your life. And I think these are all good stresses, you know. I think the bad stress are the struggles when you're fighting over put down the phone, give me the phone. I've seen some really violent emotional reactions from kids whose parents have tried to take the phone away from them.
Oh,
It almost becomes like a mental break for a minute, when the kid when it's torn out of their hands. You don't want those kind of struggles. You want the good kind of struggles.
here's a really good question for you and all and everybody listening. What advice can you give parents listening to this who already regret giving their child a phone too early and want to correct course?
Well, I mean, you can always make them do the 50 tasks again. I mean, it's hard to undo um, what becomes a habit for the kid, but you can say, hey, let's try this, let's live a little bit outside of our comfort zone and get through these 50 things together. I actually I did a lot of these things with my boys too, who had already gotten phones by the time I'd written the book. And they went through some things that they hadn't done before, and it was great.
Yeah. Now, what feedback have you received from parents who have applied your ideas?
Um, well, for parents who had already given their kids phones, a lot of them say, I wish I'd thought of this, or I wish I'd had this when my kid came to me and asked for a phone. Um, Others have said, can I add my own tasks? So just for example, I know a Pakistani family and the father added, number 51 for him was, I want my daughter to learn our mother tongue uh, before they can get the phone. And I want them to be able to communicate with their grandmother and grandfather in their language. And he made that a requirement. So she did it.
Yeah, and that's a tall task.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's some hard ones in there. It takes it takes about 6 months to get through all of them, but from what I've seen.
Okay, well, that's good. What is the most important takeaway you hope the readers gain from reading the book?
Um, I hope that I just hope that we lose. I would love for kids to be less fearful about the world. Um, I think a lot of one of the side effects of phones is this sense of isolation, the sense of staying inside, being in the basement, sitting on the couch. Um, and I think the only way to get away from that and the feelings that are involved with that are getting out into the world and um, uh, experiencing the unknown, experiencing the scary, overcoming the hard stuff, and that it hardens you. It builds calluses, and makes you a little less fearful. And I worry about this generation. I think they're a little spooked by everything. And I think that's why, in a way, they're so sensitive, why they're so anxious, and then eventually why they get really depressed too, because of their own, fears and everything. And I think the best way to overcome fear is just to get out there and try some stuff.
I
And
think you're spot on that. I mean, they're listening to the phones, looking at the phones, listening, and a lot of them are probably taking in bad news all the time. If they're looking at news, they're going, "Oh my God!" I mean, let's just take the snowstorm. It's a huge
yep,
snowstorm. Am I going to live? Am I going to die? I mean, you know how the media can exaggerate all this stuff, and I think that has
yeah.
a big effect on them.
Well, think about that age, the first 10, 15 years of your life, how much information you're taking in about the world,
Yeah.
information coming through the phones. Um, it's an overload. It can really just screw with their equilibrium. Um, and I think that, we as a human species, we've made all sorts of mistakes. We've made mistakes with lead paint. We've made mistakes with seat belts. We've made mistakes with smoking cigarettes. And it takes a decade or two, and then we go, oh, so let's correct. And I think we're going to look back at this period and think like, the malleability of these kids' brains, the vulnerability of them, and look what we did. We overloaded them with all this information, and it created all these side effects, and we'll be kicking ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we might be kicking ourselves on Wi-Fi, with
Yeah.
all this electromagnetic forces out there, causing problems. I know there were several women that I read about that were keeping their smartphones in their upper breast area, and all of a sudden, for so long, they got imprints in their skin.
Oh
You know,
gosh.
who knows?
Right.
25 years from now, gonna say, what's wrong with those people? Did they
Right.
realize? You know, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah. It takes a long time for some of these things to kind of gestate.
Adam, how can people contact you and where is the book available?
It's at beforethephone.com. Or you can go to Amazon. Um, or, probably the best thing is probably just to go to your local bookstore and order it. It's called The Things You Have to Do Before I Buy You a Phone.
Right.
And
Going to have,
they should be able to find it anywhere.
what's the, is that your website, forthephone.com?
Beforethephone, yeah, .com.
Okay. And is that B4 or is it BEFORE?
BEFORE, yeah, just
Okay,
before.
before the spelled out. Okay, are you planning on tackling any new parenting issues in the future to write about?
That's a good question. I just take it as it comes. This solution came to me. I thought I'd give it a shot, get it out there, see if I could help some parents, see if I could help some kids. I've had some people suggest to me the things you have to do before you get a car, before you go to college. I
Oh,
don't
there you
know. I
go.
don't know. I don't know what the sequel is going to be, Ron, but I'm just hoping this book can help some folks.
Yeah, let's hope so. I want to thank you, Adam, for joining us today and sharing this valuable insight into one of the most important parenting challenges of our time. Uh, your book, The Things You Have to Do Before I Buy You a Phone, offers parents a practical and thoughtful roadmap for raising responsible and self-aware kids in a digital world. I appreciate your time. I know you're right now, we got you in a hotel room in New York, so uh, I and we're in the winter time and there's a big snowstorm up there, so I'm glad you could join us. Uh, and I appreciate the perspective and the meaningful conversation. And wish you all the best on your work going forward. So once again, thanks for coming on, and please keep in touch. And I want to interview you again when we have a sequel.
Oh, thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. Keep rapping. I appreciate what you're doing.
I will. Thank you. Comments and suggestions for the podcast. You can email me at it's a wrap with rap at gmail.com. Our Facebook group is It's a Wrap with Rap. We have a couple thousand people in there. It's a private group. So if you want to join, email me. Instagram is a Wrap with Rap podcast. X at rapper, WRAPPER 130. Our website is it's a wrap with rap.com. And we have a book nook where all the books are displayed from our guests. And we also have a newsletter that goes out that also offers books that authors have written. And we're also, all the episodes are on YouTube, our YouTube channels. It's a wrap with Rap, the podcast uncut. I want to thank everyone for listening. I want everybody to please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap. The podcast is so happy and proud to have Blue Sky CBD as one of our sponsors and supporters. At Blue Sky CBD, they know that the highest quality CBD starts from the seed. Blue Sky partners with sustainable, responsible farms for superior hemp plants to extract their CBD and other healthful phytonutrients. Each of Blue Sky's products contain high concentrations of CBD for maximum impact, and Blue Sky offers some of the lowest cost per milligram CBD on the market. All Blue Sky's products are THC free and are tested by a third party laboratory for potency and purity. All this has made Blue Sky one of the only CBD brands trusted by healthcare professionals across the United States. As the demand for CBD and its therapeutic potential have grown rapidly worldwide, it is difficult to know which products you can trust. At Blue Sky CBD, they just don't sell their products, they use their products. Blue Sky CBD proudly shares testimonials of their loved ones who use these products. Blue Sky CBD guarantees the potency and purity of each and every product they sell. Blue Sky tests their products 3 times. First, the plant is tested, next, the isolate, and last, the final product to ensure each product batch meets Blue Sky's high standards. A copy of the certificate of analysis is linked below each product description online. The Blue Sky CBD website contains client testimonials, including a case study for each testimonial from the people just like you regarding people dealing with severe anxiety and insomnia, high blood pressure, pain management, headache, rheumatoid arthritis and spondylitis, and endocrine balance. Blue Sky even makes the product Pet Love for our canine and feline family members. Blue Sky CBD uses CBD derived from hemp that is THC free, which is drug free and can be sold everywhere legally in the United States. Blue Sky CBD wants you to feel confident with your purchase and offers you excellent customer service. If you are not satisfied with their products, you may request a refund of the full purchase price within 30 days of the product received date. When ordering, please use the podcast link to receive 20% off your initial purchase. The link and website information will be listed in the podcast notes.